we're gonna learn about the steps that how a process is created. That what are the steps when a process is created, it is followed. The flowchart that when an operating system create a process. First of all, it assign a unique process identifier to the new process. Means there is a queue in the operating in the processor. So inside the queue, it insert a new process. After that, it allocate space for the process. Means it find out what is the address that it gonna learn right now. So what is the address of that process? Is the process control block. Means after find out the address, so then it provide all the information about the process to the process control block. After that, it set the appropriate linkage. Means it provide the all files and folders that are needed to run that specific application software. Creates or expands other data structure. Means it is also figure it out whether that application software needs some extra data structural things or not. So guys, in this slide, if you have any question, you can ask. Now about the process switching. Process switching is happened because of three things. One is for interrupt, one is for trap, and another is for supervisory call. To know what is interrupt, that whenever your process is already executing a process at that point of time, another process of higher priority and it want to be executed. So at that point of time, the current process stop the execution of the current process and it go for the execution of the another process. That is called interrupt. Now trap. What is actually trap? Trap means that whenever I try to install an application software, but for some reason I cannot install that application software. That reason could be happen that it need to install for 32-bit operating system, but I did not check it. I try to install for 64-bit. Or sometimes it is happen that there are some fake websites of software who actually transfer the fake softwares. If you install that fake software, that your system will be burst out. So this is also called that the trap. Whenever we try to install any application software, but first cannot install it, that is called trap. And supervisory call. Supervisory call means that now I am taking your class with the Google Meet and PowerPoint slide. If Windows Auto Update occurs, at that point of time, I will directly stop the execution and program and it will go for auto update of my operating system. That is called supervisory call. So guys, in this slide, if you have any question, you can ask. Then the switching option. So in mode switch, you know there are two modes. One is the user mode, another one is the kernel mode. Now here the mode switching option is also depend on that from if no interrupt is happen, whether the interrupt is happen. The thing is that whenever I try to install any application software, at that point of time the kernel mode is started. It is turned on and it is start to install the operating the application software. Whenever I try to run any application software, at that point of time user mode is working. The thing is, when I am running my computer system, at that point of time my user mode is running on, my user mode is working. But if I try to install any application software, at that point of time my kernel mode is actually working at that point. Yes, my kernel mode is actually very much predictable and kernel would actually find out that whether that application software is applicable for the user, and that application software is the applicable, or it is cause any problem or not in my system. All types of things is taken by the kernel mode. Also, whenever interrupt is occur at that point of time, if Windows auto update happen or Windows or any application software installed, this mode switching can be seen by the end user. But whenever the interrupt is occur at that point of time, mode is also switching. So interrupt is handled by your kernel mode interrupt. So at that point of time, the end user don't understand. Another good example is that if you go for the control panel, you can see lots of hidden applications are running that we have no idea, that we don't know what are those actually those hidden applications. These also are done by your kernel mode. So guys, after this slide, if you have any question, you can ask. Then the last thing from this chapter that we're gonna learn, already you know this thing, it's very easy. Already you know this, that the steps in the process change of the process means from ready to run, ready to waiting, waiting to running, running to waiting, that these types of steps. So this is the flow chart that how the process is changed the step or a state from one step to another step. That's the flow chart. First of all, your processor set the context of the processor. Context means that which process is now running. It updates the process control block of the running state. Then it will change for the process state, and it changes that which process are running and which process is the waiting. After that, it is figure it out through the interrupt handler that whether there is any interrupt occur or not. If there is an interrupt occur, at that point of time, the interrupt handler will give the information whether the interrupt is higher priority or lower priority. If it is the higher priority, at that point of time, it is transfer the data from it stop the working of the user process and go for the interrupt process. When it go for the interrupt process, another process control block Q is created, and there the process will be stored, the current process, and the processor will run the interrupt process. After complete the execution of the interrupt process, then it again fetch back the process which is in the waiting state, and it complete the execution. So this is the flow chart that how a process is actually changed one state to another state. So guys, in the exam time, if the question is asked like that way, that draw the flow chart for the state of the process change, so you have to first of all write down what are the state in the process, and then you have to write down the flow chart according to your understanding. Also, you can write this flow chart too, the same thing, whatever I am saying to you. So guys, after this slide, if you have any question, you can ask. So guys, from now on, chapter 5 to up to the last chapter of your operating system, you're gonna learn all types of algorithms, which is very important for your operating system course. So from now on, all of you, whatever I am telling you, write down at your copy, because at the exam time, I can provide you the scenario, that according to the scenario, first of all, you have to figure it out which type of algorithm it is, then you provide the logic. After that, you need to solve the algorithm That's the numbers and problems. So if you figure it out wrong algorithm at that point of time, you will get totally 0 for that question answer. So first of all, you need to understand that what is CPU scheduling. This chapter discuss about all types of CPU scheduling algorithm, means processor scheduling algorithm. CPU scheduling means that for each of the process, how much time the processor is consumed. Say for example, process A will need to take process within 2 seconds, process B will need to complete its task within 6 seconds, process C will need to complete its task with 7 seconds. Now process scheduling means that how can you work with the process and how can you make the schedule. That is called the process scheduling. Now the thing is that process scheduling depends on different things. Sometimes it is depend on waiting time, sometimes it is depend on burst time, sometimes it depend on process number, sometimes it is depend on the quotation time, and lots of things it is depend on. It is for different algorithm it is changed. So for each of the algorithm, you will learn step by step what are the things you need. So all of the things you have to write down at your copy what I am saying today's class from this chapter. So first of all, the objective that why we need to learn CPU scheduling algorithm, because first of all, we need to keep the CPU as much as busy. So you can find out that some algorithm make your processor very busy, some algorithm make your processor very lazy. Then for fair allocation of processor, fair allocation means that your processor have to be occupied all of the places. Now your processor has some places to process any process, but it does not occupy the processor. So this is not fair allocation. Then number of processes that complete their execution per unit time means the maximum throughput. That what is the maximum number for complete the execution of the process, and maximum turnaround time means what is the maximum time to complete the execution of the process, and minimum waiting time. Minimum waiting time means that how much time, minimum time is needed when a processor is in the ready queue. Guys, in this slide, if you have any question, you can ask. Now, there are two types of processor scheduling. One is non-primitive scheduling, another one is primitive scheduling. Remember guys, at the exam time, when I provide you scenario and I write it that according to the scenario, write down which type of algorithm it is. If you write it is primitive or non-primitive, I will give you directly a big 0. You have to write down that which type. These are the types. Inside non-primitive, these are the types. Inside primitive, these are the types. You have to specifically give the name, whether it is first come first serve, or short job next, or priority scheduling, or shortest remaining time, or round robin, or multi-level queue scheduling. You have to write it down in a proper way. If you write it down as a primitive or non-primitive, I will give you a big 0. Do you understand guys, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now non-primitive scheduling means that according to the queue list, I take the process one by one. There is no priority task, there is no interrupt handler. Say for example, I will take your oral exam. So according to your serial, I take the oral one by one. I did not break the serial. I did not allow anyone to join the exam at the middle of someone else. I did not break the serial. If it is 1 to 10, so from at first I take 1, 2, 3, 4 as a sequential order. Whenever your processor is processed all of the events or all of the process according to the serial wise, that is called non-primitive scheduling. Whenever your processor is give the priority of the task, that is called the primitive scheduling. This primitive scheduling is directly opposite of non-primitive scheduling. Primitive scheduling means that during your oral exam time, the students who have another exam, I take their exam at first, then I go for the serial wise, means according to the priority base, I doing the tasks, I complete the process. This is called the primitive scheduling. So under non-primitive scheduling, there is first come, first serve and shortest job next scheduling, these two. And under primitive scheduling, there is priority scheduling, shortest remaining time scheduling, round robin and multi-level queue scheduling. And for scheduling algorithm criteria, the things you need to always remember, first of all, PNO means the process number. Arrival time, when the process is come. Burst time means the maximum time it need to execute. Completing time, the maximum time it need to complete the execution. When you do the algorithm, you will find out the difference between burst time and completing time. Turnaround time is completing time minus arrival time, and waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. So today you're gonna learn this first algorithm, which is first come, first serve. First of all, it is a non-primitive scheduling. Second of all, it is very easy. All of the scheduling algorithms, the most easiest algorithm is first come, first serve algorithm. Work as like as the work that is come first, it will be go first, and it is the performance is very poor and average waiting time is very high. So that's why this algorithm work performance is very bad. This is not good. This is very easy algorithm, but this algorithm is not appropriate for our operating system. So at the exam time, if I write down this way, that during your exam time at the oral, I take your oral exam according to the serial wise. I did not allow anyone who is enter later. I take the attendance and take the oral exam as a serial. So this is the example of first come, first serve. Means it follow the serial, it does not break the sequence, it does not break the serial. Say for example, you go to a hospital for some medical issue. So there is a serial you have to maintain. Person who go to the hospital first, he can visit the doctor first. The person who enters second, he will visit the second. So whenever you find out the scenario is according to the serial wise, it does not break the serial. That is related with first come, first serve. Come to the algorithm. So at the exam time, you process number, arrival time and burst time. You have to figure it out. Turnaround time and waiting time. So first of all, you have to create a Gantt chart. This is the Gantt chart. Now look at here the process number 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the arrival time. You have to your first priority for first come, first serve scheduling. You have to look at the arrival time. Your arrival time is the first priority. The process first. So here my process 1 come at 0 second. So I'll provide process 1. Now look at the burst time. So it takes total 4 seconds. So 0 plus 4 is 4. Within 4 seconds, my other 4 processes also come. Look, process 2 come within 1 second, 3 within 2 seconds, 4 within 3 seconds, 5 within 4 seconds. So after that, process 2. As process 2 arrival time is 1. So, and the bus time is 3. So 3 plus 4 equal to what? 7. So the completing time of process 2 is 7. 3. So after that, the process 3 will come and bus time is what? 1. 7 plus 1 equal to what? 8. So completing time of process 3 is 8. Then my process 4. So process 4 is come right now. I will place in here. So bus time is 2. So 8 plus 2 equal to what? 10. So completing time is 10. Then at the end, my process 5 is come. So I put the process 5 in here. So total bus time is 5. So 10 plus 5 is what? 15. So completing time is 15. Now turnaround time. Turnaround time is completing time minus arrival time. So 4 minus 0 equal 7 minus 1 equal to 6. Equal to 6. 10 minus 3 equal to 7. 15 minus 4 equal to 11. Now waiting time is turnaround time minus completing time. 4 minus 4 equal to 0. 6. Turnaround time minus bus time. 6 minus 3 equal to 3. Equal to 5. So 11 minus 5 equal to 6. To find it out, average waiting time. So average waiting time is 0, 3, 5, 5, 6 total, and total 5 separated by 5. Average turnaround time. So guys, do yes, help.
Ma'am, turn around time, completing time minus which one, ma'am?
Time completing time minus arrival time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Do you
you.
clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you have any question in this algorithm?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Come to the next algorithm. This is also the example of first come, first serve algorithm. So now, this is also another example of first come, first serve. So you know the first priority is the arrival time when it is arrived. So my process 1 is arrived at 0 second. I provide process 1. 0 plus 2 equal to 2, completing time 2. Okay. And when my process 2 is come, process 2 is come at 3 seconds. Between 2 and 3, there is 1 second is waiting the processor. So that's why here it is the waiting state. The processor is waiting for my one process. And process to come. So 3 plus 1 means the bus time is 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Now again, my process 3 come when? At 5 seconds. So 5 seconds is not done in here. So it is waiting for 1 second. So 4 to 5. How many seconds gap? 1 second. So at 5 seconds, my process 3 come. And the bus time is 6. So 5 plus 6 is 11. So completing time is 11. Guys, to all of you clear this algorithm, this example? Guys, to all of you clear this example?
No, ma'am.
One more time.
One more time, ma'am.
you have to consider the arrival time. This is my first priority. Process 1 is come at 0 second. So I provide the process 1 is 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. At when? 3 seconds. So look, within 2 seconds, then after 1 second it will become 3. So there is the gap. So it is waiting. When it is become 3 seconds, then my process 2 is come and bus time is 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Then my process 3 is come waiting because it is 4 seconds. Within 4 seconds, process 2 is done. So 5 seconds is not happened. Again 1 second to complete the process 5 when the 5 second is happening. When my 5 second is happened, then process 3 come and bus time is 6. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Do you clear?
Ma'am, basically the completing time equals to arrival time plus burst time, right?
Way. If you go for the first example, it is not like that way. Okay. Look. Now that basically completing time is arrival time plus bus time, then it will become 4 plus 5 equal to 9. That. It is depend on the arrival time. You have to do the adding this way. This is my first, so it is easy. That 0 plus 1 4 gap. So that's why you have to do 4 plus 3 this way. Then 4 plus 3 equal to what? 7. So 7. Then 7 plus 1. It become 8. So here, this way. Do you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. You have to adding this way, this cross section way. If you think that you for the first one, you can easily do the adding. That arrival time plus bus time equal to the completing time. But look at for the second one. This is already come in the 1 second. This thing and this thing are different. The thing is that here the processor is waiting. As it is waiting, so that's why you just add arrival time and bus time. It is give the same answer because processor is waiting here. But in the previous one, processor is not waiting. Processor is already processing during this. Within 4 seconds, my other 4 processes already at in the ready queue. These 4 processes are in the already ready queue. Do you clear my point?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this example. I told you that arrival time is important. That according to arrival time, we have to take that which process we will work for first. So first of all, look at this table. So here, first process arrival time is 0. So I provide my process 1. Bus time 20, 0 plus 20 is 20, completing time 20. Then look at here, process 2 and process 3 come at the same time, 1 second, 1 second. Now which process you can take? Then you will take first of all according to the process number. First process 2, then process 3. Whenever you find out that my more processes are arrival time are same, at that point of time you will go for the process with the process number. That process 2 is the first priority, then process 3. So then I provide my process 2. So its bus time is 2. So here look, 20 plus 2 equal to what? 22. I go for my process 3. So process 3 and bus time is 1. So 22 plus 1 equal to 23. And look at here that a process number is 1, 2, 3. But look, process 1 arrival time is 1, process 2 and 3 arrival time is 0. Means first my process 2 and 3 come, then my process 1 is come. So first I will go for my process 2, then I will go for my process 3, then I will go for my process 1. Guys, do all of you clear this thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I write something in the whiteboard, so all of you turn on your video and tell me what will be the answer according to this. If you can tell the answer, so that means you will 100% understand this first come first serve. Okay, so now tell me which process I will write down first in my Gantt chart. Tell.
4, madam.
Ma'am, 4.
Yes. First process 4. So 0 to and bus time is 7. So 0 to 7. Then tell which process I will go for.
Ma'am, 5, ma'am.
Yes,
5.
absolutely right. Process 5. So bus time is 3. So 7 plus 3 equal to 10. Then which process I will go?
Ma'am, 3, ma'am.
Yes, that's process 3. So bus time is 1. So 10 plus 1 is 11. Yes.
Ma'am, 2, ma'am.
Yes. Then process 2, bus time is 5. So 11 plus 5 is 16.
10.
Then at the end, process 1,
Process 1.
bus time is 2. 16 plus 2 is 18. So the thing is, when these types of algorithm come, at the exam time I will provide you process number, arrival time, bus time. Your first duty to draw this Gantt chart. When you draw the Gantt chart from here, you can calculate the turnaround time. You can first of all you can calculate the completing time. Completing time, then turnaround time and waiting time is not an issue.
Ma'am.
Issue is
Ma'am.
yes, still.
Ma'am,
Get
in
your
process
question,
2,
repeat.
ma'am, in process 2, it will is it 16 or 12, ma'am? Ma'am,
Yes, 1 second. Yes, still. Yes, still.
ma'am, in process 2, how come 16, ma'am?
Here. Because the bus time is 5. 5 plus 11 equal to 16. Five plus 11. You have to do the summation of in here. That 7. 0 plus 7. So 3 plus 7 equal to 10. Means you have to do the summation this way. So you get 10. Then I go for process 3. So 1. Then I go for process 2. So 5 plus 11. Then I go for process 1, 16 plus 2. You clear?
Yes, ma'am. Now I clear.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes.
ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, tell.
Ma'am, if there is, ma'am, no waiting time, like here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, ma'am, and like this, ma'am.
No,
Then
this is the
what?
process number. 1 second, this is the process number. This is not waiting time. This is the process number.
Yes, ma'am. Process number plus waiting
Process
time,
number.
like
It
this.
is not the waiting time. For never ever adding or subtracting with any of it is related with here. See, time is turn around time minus burst time.
Yes, ma'am.
Confusion.
Like ma'am, when
Clear?
you told us, ma'am, we have to add it in another way. When and ma'am, there is no waiting time. Like ma'am, in 5 seconds there are 5 processes come. Processor doesn't wait. Then it different way, ma'am. Like bus time comes in different way, ma'am. If here, what would be the then, ma'am? Like there is 7. If there was 4, then what would be the, ma'am? Like this, ma'am. What would be the
If
process?
you have
Arrival time is
to do
different.
this way.
Okay, ma'am.
This way, this is the arrival time. You have to wait. That how much difference between 3 and 2? 1 second. So within 1 second, you make a gap. Do you clear?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now I understand, ma'am.
Yeah, that is the way. If there is already, if within the time, if the process is come, so at that point of time, there is no need to waiting. You just adding the crossway, you just adding. But the second example, here is the waiting is occurred. That after 2, then after 3, processes come, means what is the gap between 3 and 2? It is 1. So at 1 second you have to waiting in here. So at 3 the process to come, and 3 plus 1 equal to 4. That is the way. Do you clear my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay guys, any more question? Okay, so at your home, all of you solve these 2 exercise. So you will be understand. So the thing is, for come to the next class, I have already uploaded this 4 and 5 slide. So before come to the class, you don't need to understand, you just read that what is happen in the other 3 algorithm. If you read it, you can, at least you have 10% of knowledge. So whenever I discuss it with you at the class, you don't get confused. You will understand easily. So before come to the class, just read what is happen in this algorithm and just check according to this algorithm what just happened. Explain it, it will be easy for you to understand it. This algorithm is also easy. Okay, I will discuss this next class. You just read all of the algorithm.